Welcome, everyone, and welcome back to some of you, because this is our third and final session of our virtual event series, the e-commerce content creation week. I'm very excited to be hosting here today, but sometimes hosting virtual events can feel a little bit like just like talking into a void. So all the participation that we can get in the chat today is very much appreciated. So let's start by seeing where everyone's joining us from today. I'm joining us from London this afternoon. Also, if you have any questions for any of us today, you're very welcome to drop those either in the comment section over here and or in the chat, and we'll get to them either during the webinar or by the end if we have enough time. And if you don't already know me from one of our previous AI webinars, maybe from a Flow event, or maybe we're connected on LinkedIn, my name is Katrine. I'm the CMO here with Pixelz, and allegedly, I love AI, or at least I love talking about AI and posting about AI. So, unsurprisingly, on the agenda today, we will spend the next 25 minutes talking about AI, because so much has happened this year, right? And today we'll try to spend, like I said, 25 minutes talking about all of those things, or at least some of that. We also try to look ahead a little bit, come up with a few predictions of what 2026 might look like, and maybe even beyond. But don't worry, I have two guests joining me today. You're not just going to be stuck with me. First up, we've got Carlos. Carlos, please join me up on stage. Carlos is our Chief Product Officer here at Pixelz, and it's only actually been a few weeks since Carlos and we took the stage together at Flow London to talk about our digital twins. I also don't know anyone who's as hands-on with all the different new AI tools as Carlos is, but we'll get to that. But first, Carlos, where are you joining us from today?
Hi, Katrine. I'm joining from Barcelona today.
Is it nice and sunny and warm in Barcelona still?
It's getting dark now, but yeah, it was sunny.
Nice. London's not so sunny, but I guess that's not biggest surprise. All right, next up, we've got Thomas joining us. Thomas, please join me up on stage. Thomas is actually, he's my boss. He's also Carlos's boss, so we'll try our very best to be on our best behavior today. But he's also our CEO here at Pixelz, and I don't think I know anyone who can spend more time obsessing over where this industry is heading and how much or how little content creation is being disrupted by AI. So Thomas is a perfect guest on this webinar today. And Thomas, where are you joining from?
Hello, Katrine. Thanks for that introduction. I'm actually joining from Hanoi in Vietnam today.
And what are you doing in Hanoi, Thomas?
Yeah, that's a good question. I'm visiting our office down here, and actually with a customer and a partner who was super interested in seeing how exactly all of this AI, how it plays out in reality, and seeing that hybrid workflow that we're running, how to, to see that live and how it actually works and it functions, and see all the behind the scenes things. So we've been doing that actually both in Hanoi and in Da Nang over the last 2-3 days.
Very cool. I also hear it's quite late where you are. It's 11 p.m.
It's 11 p.m. Yes, it is.
Well, we're very glad to have you with us this late. So let's get this started, because as you all know, we're here to talk about the state of AI in ecom content creation, and I think we should kick it off with just talking a few minutes about the highlights of 2025. And before I get the slide started, let's just see if there's anything top of mind from the three of us. And because I'm the host, I get to decide who goes first. So I'll go first. Because for me, I think the highlight of 2025, when we talk about AI in the ecom content industry, I think we've finally seen a lot of AI campaigns out in the wild, published for consumers to see. I mean, because we've been talking about AI for years, right? At all the events and webinars that we've hosted. I mean, we've been talking about AI ever since I started here 6 years ago. But I think a lot of that AI has been going on in the background, maybe for mood boarding, maybe for workflows and efficiency. But I think 2025 was the year where we finally saw a lot of big fashion brands producing and publishing campaign and Gen AI imagery and putting it out there. So that was definitely a highlight for me. And I think it's just the beginning, right? Next year, we're going, predictions are later. But anyways, Thomas, what do you have to add?
Well, I actually think it's very much to what you're saying, Katrine. I think it's one of the interesting things of the year that passed is that we've had the opportunity to actually have people on stage at, for instance, the Flow events, where some of these big brands, they've been telling about their actual experiences with this and what it actually takes to bring some of these AI campaigns to life, and you know, how to work with the team and the whole setup and the whole process and their learnings and all of that. And I actually think that's been super interesting. I think especially the presentation we had from Mango at Flow London, I thought that was exceptionally interesting. And I think the way Marcus, who did that presentation, framed it from, you know, artificial intelligence into augmented imagination. I just think there was just some things and some learnings, you know, from their experiences that were, super cool.
Very good. Carlos, any highlights on your end?
You already said a lot. I will complement this your comments with maybe all the tech developments, all the different improvements that we've seen even on a weekly basis during this year, from Flux Context at the beginning with the Nano Banana mid-year, and now just a few weeks ago another version of it, Flux 2. It's a continuous evolution of the different tools, and it's even difficult to keep yourself updated.
And that's actually the perfect segue right into this next slide right here, because there has been so many tech releases this year, and it's been hard for most of us to keep up. Is there anything else here that you'd like to highlight?
Well, Adobe has integrated different tools. It's an interesting play on Photoshop. You can now run different versions of their own AI, but also integrating Nano Banana and Flux Context. So that's a good mix of external AI tools with Photoshop capabilities. They also presented a couple of new ambitious projects that they have for this 26, Project Moonlight and Project Graph. It's their own node-based kind of application where you can combine not only AI but existing Photoshop or other Adobe tools capabilities in a node-based workflow. And as I mentioned, Nano Banana Pro, the newest one, new Flux, the C-Dream that was launched I think 2 days ago. So it's a lot of really interesting movements out there. We are now in a one that the quality achieved is really impressive.
Absolutely. And just this year, right, we've come so far, which is, I think, really, really impressive. But moving on from all the tech and the tools into some of the actual, like we were talking about before, right? The campaigns that some of the major fashion brands out there have been publishing. And we already talked about Mango a little bit, because Mango has been one of the first bigger brands to actually publish customer-facing campaigns that were fully created by generative AI. And the very first one that we see here in the desert, this one was actually published, I think, July 2024. So that was not even this year. They've been going at it for a while. But Carlos, the second and the third image are much more recent. And anything to say when it comes to the evolution or the development of the campaigns that they've been pushing out?
Yes, I think you can see the evolution of the quality, right? The first one, even the lighting on the model and the background seems a little bit not so integrated compared to the last two. You can see how the technology that they use has been evolving, and they've been refining the process. Marcus also explained that, as Thomas mentioned on our Flow event. And the last ones will be even difficult to say that they are AI generated if it wasn't for the tagging that they have on the image. So it's a really good use of these technology developments.
I agree. And you're right when you say they're tagging everything, right? Mango has chosen to be very transparent about the fact that they're using AI, and they're putting a little tag or a little text on each image saying this was produced by AI. Well, I guess we'll get a little bit more to that, because we've seen a few other brands who have chosen not to do that. And I think, at least in this environment we're in now, we're still in the early phases. Do you think transparency or disclosing the use of AI, do you think that's the best for a brand right now?
I don't have a strong opinion about this. I think both approaches can have its pros and cons, depending on what you want to highlight. I think transparency is important, and it's important for us at Pixelz. Our platform, we're very transparent of everything we're doing, and if it's automated or who is doing what. So I would prefer that, but I also understand not flagging it if it's not relevant at that point. Depending on the usage of the image, where you're putting it, publishing it, it could be more relevant or less relevant, but saying that's made with AI.
Very true. And I think, for me at least, one of the very interesting points that Marcus made at Flow in Europe was not that it's not about whether this is real or not. It's about is it on brand or not. And I think what we were seeing Mango do here, right? I think a lot of, or all the campaigns that they've been pushing out has been very much on brand.
Exactly. And just as one comment that is now in the chat, next year it may be mandatory to tag them, and Mango is ahead of that, or they selected the option that's going to prevail. But let's see when the regulation comes. Different countries also have different regulations as well about retouching, like in France, that you have to tag that the image has been retouched. So let's see. Yeah, it's a good point.
Exactly. Just a few more examples here of other brands that we've seen.
No, I just want to say back to the labeling. Yeah, back to the labeling regarding AI or not. It's true, like it's also commented on in the chat here, that there's the EU Act being put in place from August 26, where certain things actually need to be labeled. So that is. I know there's something about predictions later on, right? And it's not really a prediction, but it will be something that we will be forced to see moving or to label moving forward. So that's going to happen.
And what's interesting, at least when we look at the brands represented here, we've got H&M, their digital twins over to the left. Then we've got United Colors of Benetton in the middle here, and Desigual. And all these brands, I mean, these are European brands, right? But all of these brands are actually tagging and being very transparent about using AI. Carlos, I know you had an opinion on some of these images here, some of these campaigns.
Yeah, it's a personal opinion, of course, and I know that the image from Benetton, for example, has been criticized, and especially about the texture of the garment, and it's not representing the garment accurately. But I think we need to also understand the purpose of this image, and this is a campaign image, and they want to represent the brand, not the product, right? If they put this image on the PDP trying to sell you this garment with that texture, then of course you need to represent it correctly. Otherwise, you're going to buy something that's not real. But if it's to represent the brand and what you feel by buying that brand, or what they want to make you feel, I think it's a really good image, although it's maybe not perfect on the texture.
Yeah, because all of what we're seeing essentially is campaign imagery, right? And not like PDP product imagery.
Yeah, exactly.
If we move on to the next one, on the other hand, this is where we have some PDP imagery, because I think at this point, right, we've seen a lot of brands doing a lot of campaign or lifestyle work with Gen AI, but not, or maybe it's just because we don't know about it at this point. I'm not sure, but we have also seen to the right here, we got Mango PDP fully AI generated. And over to the right, that's Forever 21. And then it's a bit of a different story, right? Then we really need the product imagery here also to be super accurate. And do you think the reason why we're not seeing more PDP imagery is because of that issue, or do you think there is a lot of PDP imagery out there, we're just not realizing it?
It could be both of them. One is that we are not realizing that there's PDP images out there made with AI, or that maybe creating those images and making sure that the product is well represented is as costly or time consuming as creating with regular shootings. Or it could be that the internal regulations of the company are not clear about how to go ahead with AI models. But it could be a combination of both, probably. I would say that.
I agree. And I know, Thomas, you've been saying that there's so much out there, we just don't realize it's AI, it's not tagged.
Yeah, I actually think there's a lot more AI generated visuals out there that we know of. It's just not being labeled, quite simply.
Right.
And I think I think right now we're at a time where there's a lot more companies that are not labeling than are actually labeling. And I have to say, I'm probably with Carlos, where I maybe I'm also a bit old-fashioned here, but I actually like the labeling, right? But you could also say, does the consumer actually care as long as that AI-generated image has a certain quality? Do they care? Why label? I mean, but I think that labeling or not, I think that has a lot to do with company and brand policies, right? How transparent do you want to be? I think that's a bigger question on is it right or not to label Gen AI images. I actually think that the internal policy of how you want to treat your brand and how you want to stand out as a company, I think that's a more important discussion, actually.
I agree. And I think what's interesting here is the whole AI slop discussion, right? And I think a good example of this was the J. Crew campaign that I don't think it was a terrible campaign, but I mean, I think one of the problems here was that they didn't label it, that they weren't transparent about what they were doing. And when consumers found out, I mean, everyone just screamed AI slop. I don't know. Do you think it was a terrible campaign?
Thomas, what do you think?
No, I actually don't. I actually think it was a decent campaign. I think they ran into issues because of you could say other things, right? And I think again it's back to the transparency thing. And I think to some brands that whole transparency thing and being super upfront with what you're doing, I think that is. I think some brands, they can just not do it, and their consumers, their target group won't maybe matter that much. And then for other brands, it can create like a true shitstorm. I mean, we saw it, and again for very different reasons, I know, but we saw it with Levi's also some years ago. That was like it became huge, right? And I also think that's why it's difficult to say when is this going to explode or not. It's difficult to say. It's difficult to predict. So that's also why I'm saying why not be on the safe side and label it? Why not?
I agree.
Yeah.
Anyways, we ran a market survey this to see how brands are embracing AI at the moment. And Carlos, do you want to just put a few words to the first slide here?
Yeah, we asked a few questions about the urgency, the pressure that different brands felt regarding implementing AI or AI tools. We asked if they felt pressure from management, pressure from the customers, and if that pressure was higher or lower or the same than the previous year. And you can see here this slide from both parties, from both sides, management and the customers, the pressure is much higher with 60% or 50% on, and only a few of them say the same one. So there is a lot of urgency, a lot of pressure to implement AI tools this year or the coming year.
Absolutely, and it's something we've been feeling as well here at Pixelz. And Thomas, why do they want to implement AI tools? What's the reasoning?
Well, I mean, when we ask, then the question we're hearing is very, very much around efficiency, and that has to do with of different things. One thing, efficiency in terms of creating assets that actually allows you to convert better. So it's more like a business efficiency. But we also have an efficiency gain in terms of the process, in terms of creating mood boards and leveraging some of these tools in the creative process. So it's actually efficiency in a couple of different directions. But that's what we see. It's very, very much an efficiency game. And it's also back to what I mentioned before with some of those sessions that we've heard throughout 26 with the experience from companies that have really leveraged this. They've gained a lot of learnings, right? And they've gained a lot of experience with this. One thing that pretty much goes across all of them is that most companies, they have such a dialed in value chain in terms of how to produce the visuals they need for their PDP, that it's a very few of these customers or these companies that are leveraging these tools that are actually saving money. Right? They even said, and here I'm back to, for instance, the Marcos and Mango presentation. He was very transparent. He said, "Listen, do not do this to save money, because the consequence will be that's not what's going to happen. You need to be chasing different things. You need to be chasing, to create more inspirational visuals, right? You need to elevate your brand. You need to tell a stronger product story. You need to elevate your communication and your brand building. That's where this is super useful. So I think that's some of the interesting learnings that has been around that efficiency thing, right? Because it has been a lot this year about just, AI, throw AI and everything, save money, and no people involved, and true, to a certain extent. But the experience from the ones who really use it is actually that it's not easy. It takes time. It takes a lot of time to dial it in. It takes new competences. It takes new workflows. You still need to do a lot of post, for instance, and saving money is rarely the result.
At least at this point, right? And also
at this point, true.
I think what's very important as well is that you also still need a lot of people from within the fashion industry, professionals who know what they're doing, because otherwise we might actually end up with AI slop in the end. And I think that's a perfect time to go into some predictions for next year, or maybe just predictions for the future. It doesn't have to be next year specifically. Carlos, do you want to go first here?
Yes, I can do that. I'm going to follow on what I mentioned before regarding the technology. I think we're going to see a continuous evolution of the technology as we've seen the last year. Maybe more focus on video. We've seen strong developments in both, but I think video still needs to do more, or the AI for video needs to have better quality and control. So that's a prediction for 26, and be able to move from one image or different images to video. And that's something that we're also working on at Pixelz to offer next year. We maybe can see more consolidation of tools. There's been an explosion of different small companies and big companies with developments. Maybe there is a more consolidation and players that take a specific role. We've seen also OpenAI with a code red, let's say, with the Gemini, with Nano Banana and the new Gemini improvements. So there's high competition out there. Yeah, lots of movements. I guess that's my prediction for 26.
Thomas, anything to add?
Well, I think Carlos is right. I think if you look at you can have different perspectives of this, but I think if you look at it from what visuals will we be creating and where will we be leveraging AI, I think that what Carlos mentioned as well with the image to video thing, I think that's something that we will see booming in 26. But there's another thing. I think that is back to my what I mentioned before about going away from just shouting AI about at everything. I think we will in 26. I think we'll have much more. I hope we will have much more, if I may say, mature conversations around using AI in content production. I really, really hope that we will be looking more at combining the workflow and the way we create content today, and then elevating and combining that with Gen AI generated images, and for very specific use cases where it actually makes sense and where AI can actually make a difference, instead of just having that immature AI conversation that says throw AI at everything, right? I throughout this year, I've mentioned a couple of times that sometimes when we visit different brands and companies, it seems a little like someone from management just, they went in, threw an AI hand grenade and said, just fucking AI, everything, AI, and then shut the door and people are running around and say, whoa, AI. I mean, I actually hope we will have a more elevated, mature conversation around that, because I think that's what it deserves. And then another thing is that if you look at content production, if you look at the very campaign branding related visuals, and then your PDP, your more like Ecom visuals, that has typically been in most companies done by two different teams. And I think because of what's happening with AI, because of what you can generate with AI, I think we will see a much more blurry line. And I think we will see PDPs that will have a much stronger sense of being more editorial and more campaign-like, because we will hopefully use some of these tools to elevate the product story and how we communicate our brand. That's some of the things that I hope for 26.
I love that. I love a PDP with a lot of different types of content on there. So I really think, but I also think that prediction is correct, because we've been seeing that even without AI tools, right? Okay, just the final one for me. And I don't know if this is a prediction or just wishful thinking. Also about the conversation around AI, right? But this is more like on the consumer side of things. I hope we will be moving away from just shouting AI slop at everything AI, right? Just because it's AI, and just but maybe that will also come when we're no longer able to see what's AI and what's not. Anyways, let's just get to a few questions here before we wrap up. First one here, that's a yes or no question, so should be relatively quick. Do you think next year's evolution in AI will be even faster than this year?
Yes.
No? Yes.
Not sure. We've seen lots of the developments in regards of technology too. As I said, the example is Nano Banana. They launched 2 models the same year. I don't know if they've been they will be able to launch 3 next year. Uncertain, but at least the same amount of speed, I would say.
Yeah.
All right. And how do you manage to keep up with the fast pace of the AI evolution? I think that's a good one, because I think everyone feels like we're behind.
But I think that's a super interesting point, Katrine. I think that's a learning from some of those conferences and everything else that we've been joining in 25. Everyone believes and are left with the feeling that they're behind everyone else, because there's go to LinkedIn, go to whatever, it's all you see, and that is actually not the truth. And I think I can speak for what I do. I follow the people that I think are worth following. I do a whole lot of reading. I watch a ton of videos, and then I try to stay on top of what the brands that I know are working with this in a serious way, what they're doing and how they're working with it.
Yep.
How about you, Carlos? I think you do a lot of actual testing, right?
Yes, but in terms of getting updates and keeping ourselves informed, on top of what Thomas said, we talk a lot to our customers, so we know what they are also testing. That's a good source of information to know from firsthand what they really want to do. And also we have just a very practical thing. We have a Slack group where we share updates. So it's not just one person that needs to keep up with all the updates. It's just a group that is interested in this. And we're sharing updates and commenting on them. So it's a knowledge sharing between the different team members. And then of course with the best outcomes or the best tools or software, whatever that we get from all these inputs, then yes, we do a lot of testing. We have our own teams testing this continuously, and it's difficult to keep the pace of it. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much. Unfortunately, the time today, it has come to an end. And this session today, it actually marks the very last of all the webinars, all the virtual events, all the in-person events that we've done this year. So the last thing to do is from all of us at Pixelz, to all of you out there watching today, to the greater community, to the industry, I think the time has come to wish all of you a very happy holidays and a happy new year. And I can't wait to repeat the same type of session next year and to see if some of our predictions have come true. Anyways, again, thank you everyone for joining us, and see you all next year.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.